You probably think you're clean. Japan might see it differently. And the gap between those two things has nothing to do with effort. It comes down to a completely different understanding of what clean actually means. Today we're looking at 7 everyday hygiene habits that most Westerners never think twice about, but that quietly unsettle Japanese people. Stay with me, because one habit involves an object beside millions of bathroom sinks, another happens in kitchens every week, and the last one says more about your character than almost anything else. Before we begin, here's one simple idea that connects every habit on this list. In Japan, different kinds of clean aren't treated the same. What comes from outside stays outside. What touches your body stays separate from what everyone shares. Keep that in mind as we begin. Habit number 1. Walking through your own home in the exact same shoes you wore everywhere else. Think about your morning. You walked to your car, you stopped at a gas station, you pushed a cart through a grocery store. Maybe you stepped through a gym floor or a public restroom. Every one of those places left something behind on the bottom of your shoes. And a few minutes later, you walk straight across your kitchen floor, your living room carpet, maybe right up to where your kids or your dog spend their afternoon on the ground. Researchers at the University of Houston tested this directly. They found shoe soles can carry around 421,000 bacteria per square centimeter, including organisms like E. coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae. Other studies suggest that 90 to 99% of those microbes can transfer onto indoor flooring within just a few steps. That doesn't mean your home is unsafe. It simply shows how easily the outside world follows you inside. In Japan, this almost never happens. Not because people are constantly reminding themselves, because homes are designed around a simple habit. Every Japanese home has a genkan, a small, lowered entryway where outdoor shoes come off before anyone steps into the living space. It's the point where the outside world ends and home begins. In Japan, the floor isn't just something you walk on. Children play there. People sit or kneel there. Sometimes meals are shared close to it. Taking off your shoes isn't about being overly careful. It's about keeping the space everyone lives on as clean as possible. A small habit, but one that reflects a very different definition of what it means to keep a home clean. Habit number 2. What happens in your bathroom the moment you flush? The sound lasts only a few seconds. What happens next is almost invisible. Each flush releases what's known as an aerosol plume, a cloud of microscopic droplets that rises out of the bowl and briefly circulates through the air before settling on nearby surfaces. In 2022, researchers publishing in Physics of Fluids used laser imaging to actually watch this happen. The plume rose as high as 1.5 meters, reaching the top of the tank within seconds, and continued spreading through the bathroom for close to a minute afterward. Now think about where your toothbrush sits, your razor, your face towel, maybe your skincare, right there on the counter. This doesn't mean every flush is dangerous, but the Japanese instinct asks a simpler question. If a small amount of unnecessary exposure can be avoided, why allow it in the first place? That's why many Japanese households do 2 very small things. They close the toilet lid before flushing, and they keep the toothbrush inside a cabinet, or at least under some kind of cover. Neither habit promises a sterile bathroom. It just removes something that never needed to be there. The shift. A few extra seconds, a little less unnecessary exposure, and one more reminder that real hygiene usually starts long before anything looks dirty. Habit number 3. Washing yourself in the bathwater itself. You fill the tub, you get in, you scrub your hair, your skin, you rinse, and by the time you get out, you're clean. For a lot of Westerners, that's simply what a bath is. In Japan, that same routine is considered the opposite of clean. The household bath, the ofuro, isn't built for washing at all. It's built for soaking. Cleansing happens first, separately, sitting on a small stool with a handheld shower, scrubbing completely, rinsing off every trace of soap. Only after you're already clean do you step into the bath. Because the tub isn't for removing dirt. it's for recovery. That single ordering change is why the same bathwater can be shared by an entire family over the course of one evening. Each person enters already clean and simply soaks, so the water never collects anyone's actual grime. This same principle governs Japan's public hot springs, the onsen. Every onsen has a full washing area, and skipping it to step straight into the shared water is one of the more serious breaches of onsen etiquette there is. Research discussed in the British Journal of General Practice suggests regular warm water immersion may help lower cortisol, support healthy blood pressure, improve mood, and encourage better sleep. The shift. Japan separates two things most Westerners have quietly merged into one: cleansing and soaking. One removes what doesn't belong on you, the other restores what does. They happen in that order, never at the same time. Habit number 4. Blowing your nose at the table, or anywhere in public, the moment you need to. Most Westerners wouldn't think twice about it. Reach for a tissue, blow, move on. In Japan, this is reversed. Sniffling quietly is the accepted option. Blowing your nose in front of others, even carefully, is often seen as miyawaku, a word that roughly means placing a small burden on the people around you. The sound, the visibility, the sense of releasing something into a shared space, all of it registers as an imposition. So what do people do instead? They sniffle and wait until they can step into a private space, a restroom, an empty hallway, and take care of it there, quietly. Then they blow, dispose of the tissue, wash their hands, and rejoin whatever they were doing. Research published in Clinical Infectious Diseases adds a physical reason behind the etiquette. Forceful nose blowing can generate pressure inside the nasal passages roughly 100 times greater than a cough or a sneeze, pushing fine respiratory droplets out into the surrounding air. The entire interruption, stepping away, clearing your nose, washing your hands, returning, takes less than a minute. The shift. Whenever possible, keep personal messes personal, and let the shared air stay shared. Habit number 5. Rinsing raw chicken in the sink before cooking it. This is the one almost nobody expects, because millions of people do it while believing they're making dinner safer. It seems logical. If something is going into a meal, rinsing it first should make it cleaner. But food safety research points the other way. The chicken itself usually isn't the biggest risk. The water is. Surveys suggest around 44% of people in the United Kingdom still rinse raw chicken before cooking, with similar habits reported in parts of the United States. As water hits the surface of the meat, droplets can splash as far as 80 centimeters from the sink, landing on countertops, cutting boards, utensils, clothing, even your own hands. If bacteria like Campylobacter or Salmonella are present, rinsing just gives them more places to travel. Japanese kitchens tend to follow a simpler, quieter rule. Don't rinse raw chicken. If the surface needs drying, pat it gently with a paper towel, throw the towel away immediately, wash your hands thoroughly, and let the heat of cooking do the actual work, because proper cooking destroys what matters far more effectively than water ever could. The shift. Sometimes the safest kitchen habit isn't doing more, it's skipping the one step that only spreads the problem around. Habit number 6. Wiping alone with dry toilet paper and considering the job finished. Here's a number worth sitting with. Over 80% of Japanese households own a bidet toilet, a figure that has climbed steadily since its introduction in 1980. In the United States, that number sits at roughly 2.5%. That gap says something profound about how these two cultures define clean. If your hands got dirty, you'd wash them with water, not just wipe them on a cloth and call it done. Why would the rest of the body be any different? Dermatologists note that dry wiping alone can leave behind bacteria and fecal matter, increasing the risk of irritation and infection. It isn't a controversial claim. It's simply a habit deeply embedded in one culture and largely absent from another. Walk into almost any convenience store, office, or train station in Japan, and a washlet is the baseline expectation, not a luxury. The shift. Water washes away what paper alone often leaves behind. Habit number 7. Reaching into a shared dish with the same chopsticks, fork, or spoon that already touched your mouth. This one is quiet. No alarm goes off. Nobody says anything out loud. But in a traditional Japanese dining setting, it registers. The practice of using your own personal chopsticks, the end that's touched your lips and your food, to serve yourself or someone else from a shared dish, is called jikabashi, and it's considered unhygienic in a very specific, concrete way. Whatever is in your saliva transfers to the communal food. From there, it transfers to everyone else at the table. Japanese etiquette handles this with a small, elegant system. At formal or semi-formal meals, separate serving chopsticks called toribashi are set out, and those are what you use to serve. In casual settings without dedicated serving utensils, the accepted workaround is to flip your own chopsticks around and use the blunt, unused end to take food from the shared dish. It's a tiny gesture, but it quietly communicates something. I notice that this dish is shared, and I'm being careful with it. The shift. Flipping the chopsticks takes about half a second. What it communicates is that you thought of the other person before you reached for the food, and in Japan, that half second tends to matter more than almost anything else at the table. It's one of those gestures that almost disappears precisely because everyone quietly expects it. No one thanks you for doing it, but everyone benefits from it. So that's all 7, and there's a thread running through every single one of them. Shoes stay at the door because the floor is shared space. The lid stays closed because the air in a small room is shared space. A nose gets blown in private because the air around a table is shared space. Chicken doesn't get rinsed because the sink and everything near it is shared space. The bath is used a specific way because the same water is about to be shared. The toilet gets treated with water, not just paper, because your own body is something you also share with the people close to you. And chopsticks get flipped because the dish in the middle of the table belongs to everyone at once. Japan doesn't just treat cleanliness as something personal. It treats cleanliness as a form of consideration for whoever else is standing in the room. If you want a simple way to check your own habits, here's a 3-question audit. 3 questions, 30 seconds, done. Question 1. Does this habit affect only me, or does it affect the space around me? Shoes on indoors, an open flush, a nose blown at the table, all of it reaches outward. Question 2. Am I actually cleaning, or am I just redistributing the problem? Rinsing chicken into your own sink, wiping without water, washing your body in the same water you're about to soak in. All of these move the problem instead of removing it. Question 3. Would the people sharing this space with me choose it, if they had a say? That's the real question underneath everything on this list. Not, is this technically fine, but, is this something the people around me would actually choose to live with? If a habit fails all 3 questions, that's the one worth looking at first. So, look at your own daily routine for a second. Which of these 7 habits made you see cleanliness differently? Tell me the number and why it stood out to you. And if this changed the way you look at even one habit you do every day, send it to one person who'd get something out of it too. See you in the next one.